Ignite to Impact.
Are you putting in more hours than you ever imagined and, quite frankly, feeling overwhelmed? Or do you feel that you're not accomplishing much anymore and wondering what it is you're doing? As a working woman in your own business or in the corporate world, you may be burned out and not even know it. Today's conversation is about a situation too many people are facing: burnout, especially if you're an entrepreneur, a working woman in your own business, or in the corporate space. How you doing? I'm Dr. Geneva, vibrant life coach and business strategist, helping entrepreneurs and executives who are uncertain about their next moves in their business or in life, and they want to get more success, income, and happiness. And this is the place where we will design your best life and a better world. You know, this subject of burnout is one of my favorite topics, and that's because I struggled with it a lot. In fact, just recently, I did a video segment for the Small Business Workshop sponsored by Fifth Third Bank and Comcast, talking about this very subject. And my point was that women tend to face a higher rate of burnout than others. Okay. And so that when we talk about unique challenges that particularly women entrepreneurs and executives face, burnout is one of them. But why I really want to talk about this topic is that I've experienced it many times. I remember when I was heading up a multi-million dollar organization. I had young kids, was married. I was the first, when you get to be one of them first, I was the first Black person and woman head of this organization. And I was just churning these hours, but I was feeling kind of lost. And I thought that I wasn't really accomplishing much or doing much of anything. And I was always exhausted. And a mentor of mine, never forget, said to me, an older woman, very experienced, very successful, said to me one day, Geneva, you know that whatever it is that you're putting in to all of this, you're burning your candle at both ends, and you need to stop and check yourself out. She said, because, no matter how many hours you put in, there's always going to be more hours. No matter how many problems you solve, they always going to be more problems. She said, in fact, the reason why you're in the position that you're in is because you're a problem solver. So the problems aren't going to go away. How you deal with them, how you deal with you is the real solution. So from that moment on, I decided I was going to find ways to beat burnout. And I spent a lot of times, trying different strategies. And that's why I'm here today talking about this subject, because I learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, still experience burnout a little bit now. But the difference is I can recognize it and I know what to do about it. And that's why I'm here to share it. Okay. Share my solutions and my experiences. And I'm just hoping that it'll be helpful for you. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about what is burnout and, why we sometimes get it, what the signs of burnout are, and some solutions for you that I've tried that work. And hopefully you'll find there'll be just the things you're looking for. Okay. So first, let's talk about what burnout is. So it's bottom line, it's a form of exhaustion um, fueled by constantly feeling swamped. And the Mayo Clinic calls job related stress a special type of burnout because it's this state of, exhaustion, the burnout, but it's accompanied by a sense of reduced accomplishment and loss of personal identity. I know that's what I would feel when I was really, really totally exhausted, because I'd always be asking myself, well, what am I doing? And is what I'm doing really even worth it? So, as the Mayo Clinic suggests, that when we get this burnout related to our work, whether we're running a business or in a corporate space, that's a special type. But let me talk about some statistics. Forbes says that burnout is on the rise. Over half of their survey respondents said they were experiencing burnout in 2021, and that's up from 43% the year before. Now, of course, we know the pandemic has played a big role in all of this. In fact, one of the causes of the great resignation that we know of, where thousands and hundreds and thousands of people didn't go back to work, when asked, their biggest reason was burnout. But again, I want us to really look at the burnout, because it's not just the feelings of exhaustion and stress and overwhelm, but when we talk about it again related to our job or business, it also has to do with this sense of, what am I doing here? Hey, Luther. Oh, Luther says I need to talk about this on Jobs Club. Yeah. Okay, will do. Invite me. Jobs Club. Tell me more. Will do. The other thing that I wanted you to know, that burnout, and particularly for you who have employees, you entrepreneurs out there running businesses who have team members, I want you to know that workplace stress, according to the American Psychological Association, workplace stress is estimated to cost the economy more than $500 billion each year, and that 550 million workdays are lost due to stress on the job. So it has an economic impact as well. And statistics tell us that over half of millennials really were affected by burnout pre-pandemic, and they do remain the most affected population, with almost 60% experiencing it today. So if you're particularly a millennial, I know you're probably experiencing some of this, what am I doing? This burnout, this exhaustion. And again, I want to remind us that women do face a higher risk of burnout. Particularly during the pandemic, women took on more care activities, whether it was child care or elder care responsibilities. And, the Deloitte, I was very interested by this report from Deloitte Touche, who talked about women at work in 2022. And their research tells us that 53%, over half of women, say their stress levels are higher than they were a year ago. And almost half of them are feeling burned out. And so this is widespread, and it does hinder the progress of women in the workplace or running their own business. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of set the stage, the framework. Listen, I love, sharing with you the data the information. But data is only as good as it is actionable, meaning that we can know the numbers and statistics, and that's good because we should know. It's okay to know that. But what we do about that is the real deal. So let's look at some of the warning signs about for burnout and see if you experience any of this. Okay. So I see. So Tisha's saying the job club members would love the topic. Okay, about burnout. Hey, let's do that because it is, as we can see, it's so important, and particularly being affected by the pandemic. So let's see if you're experiencing any of these warning signs on burnout. One, you just don't want to go to work. Or if you work at home, you just don't feel like sitting down at your computer. It's a drag. It's hard to start. That's one of them, where you don't have that zeal, that excitement, where you don't jump out of bed ready to, hey, let me get this on. That's a sign. Another is this whole sense of, what am I doing? What's my purpose? Where you're questioning, whether or not this is the right thing for you to do, that you feel disillusioned with what you're doing, and that you just lack the satisfaction in what typically or used to be a job well done. You're not feeling that well. You feeling, your self-esteem is kind of hitting rock bottom and you're questioning your self-worth. That's another sign. And I talk about a lot of this in my in the solutions that I give in the imposter syndrome ebook that I've just, made available for you. So check it out if you're interested. Another sign is that you are irritable or impatient with your coworkers, even your clients and customers, that, every little thing be bothering you. And where one time you would, enjoy, going to work and seeing your coworkers and, communicating with them, being on the team, doing team projects, or you couldn't wait till you saw your favorite customer walk in the door of your store, or you couldn't wait till you jumped on a coaching call with one of your clients, and you don't feel that way no more. That you're irritable, that you really don't want to talk, that you don't have the patience and the joy that you used to have, and you should have, with those people that you're serving. That's another sign. How about your sleep? Are your sleep habits changing? Do you get physical symptoms like headaches or stomach aches or any kind of physical complaints? That's another sign of burnout. And, you might not think about it in that way, but that's the real deal, because that's how stress affects you. It affects you physically. It's not just mental and emotion, but physically, it'll show up. And so particularly in sleep, I was talking with a group of executives, SCORE, who are part of the SCORE roundtable just a few weeks ago. And we talked about this aspect of sleep or lack of sleep. And one of the executives said, I haven't been able to get to sleep. And then once I do, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll just like sit up, and I didn't know what it was. And yeah, that's a sign of burnout, that the stress that you're going through, that you're feeling during the day is getting to you, and it shows up in your sleep. Another sign of burnout is just feeling overwhelmed. like it's just too much. I don't know if you've experienced it, but I have, where it seems like the world is just spinning. I mean, it's just going round and round and round and round. And I don't know how to stop it or control it, or I feel like, well, I'm not in control and things are just, you know, I just feel overwhelmed. And sometimes there's a sense of hopelessness with that, there's so much going on. I really don't feel in control. And is there any hope? So that's another sign that we see often. So those are some key signs, but the bottom line is when we talk about burnout, we're talking about physical and emotional exhaustion. And when it's connected to work or running our businesses or job related, oftentimes those feelings of what am I doing here? And questioning purpose is involved as well. Okay, so, we've talked about why it's important. I've shared statistics with you on what's happening, and you're not alone if you're feeling it, because again, over half the population at one time or another is feeling highly stressed. I've talked about the warning signs. Now, I want to talk about some solutions that I hope you find helpful. My first one is, again, recognize that you're in this state, that you have a problem with it. And that's a biggie, because, as I shared with you my story about when I was just, when I really was feeling so burned out and my mentor, made me aware of it. That's what she really did. That's why she was helpful, because she made me aware of it, because I didn't know. I thought it was just part of what was supposed to happen, because I was supposed to work hard. I was supposed to work long hours. I was supposed to accomplish things. I was supposed to take care of my kids. I was supposed to do all of these things and balance all these balls. So it was like, well, what else can I do? And I really didn't know that balancing all those balls and doing all of those things was burning me out at both ends. You know that expression, a candle can burn you, burning out a candle. What is it? Burning out a candle at both ends. That's what it is. You know what I'm talking about. And I really didn't know. So recognizing the problem is an important first step. So take a deep breath and kind of try to figure it out. And I know for me, when I said, well, wow, that's really what this problem is, I said, well, if I stop doing this thing, I would start feeling guilty, and then I'd be depressed about it. And then I'd be sending myself these negative self messages. And then I would start to procrastinate. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. And so a first step is just to stop and recognize that you have a problem or that you may be experiencing burnout. A second step is to pay attention to your own physical and emotional health. Okay, so you got burnout, you figure you're exhausted. Okay, next, well, let me start focusing on how I feel physically, mentally, emotionally. And paying attention, is not something that you earn. You got found some free time, so I've earned the right to think about my own personal and emotional health. No, you've got to take the approach that this is important. Let me do this now, because you'll be burning out if you don't stop. And so start now and make it non-negotiable for yourself. So when I talk about pay attention to your own physical and mental health, what I'm talking about are those activities that include some kind of physical motion all the time. I'm an exercise buff and I believe in that. But sometimes when you're in this state of burnout and you're exhausted and somebody tells you, go out there and exercise, go work out, pump that iron, go to the gym, run. It's like, more overwhelmed. So what I want you to do is be to move. Now that you can do. You could take 15, 20 minutes and just move. Just move around. So keep your body active. So move and walk around your house, take a walk, reach for the dishes, go up to the move. So I like to tell people about physical motion. So that's one of the self-care activities you want to make sure that you do. Do spend some time, grab some time for meditation and reflection. It's always good. There are thousands of apps out there. You can make it simple. You can make it easy to do. Figure out a daily self-care routine. It might be something as simple as, I'm going to make sure that I, clean my face every night before I go to bed. I'm going to make sure that I listen to my favorite book once a day, or I get a book, like on Audible or something, and listen to it. Whatever it is, make sure that you do a little bit of something every day. You don't have to change your entire life when you're starting out, because it might feel too overwhelming. Also, another essential part of self-care is social time. So you want to make sure that as you're looking at and paying attention to your emotional and physical health, that you're being social. And now we're getting out more, in this post-pandemic world. So you want to stay connected with friends and family and others. Okay. So you want to make sure that you have some time for that. So those are the essentials of the self-care activities, and when you're focusing on your physical and emotional health. A third step that I'd like to suggest to you, you might find helpful as you're dealing with this big bad burnout, is get help. Okay, so here's the thing. You don't have to do everything yourself, okay? You don't. You can get help. And if you're, get things off your plate and out of your mind, and find a way to delegate or automate or outsource them all at once, and start with the tasks that drain you the most. So I'm going to tell you, I like to think about, here's something you can do. Go get yourself a piece of paper and make a list of the things or the tasks that you procrastinate on the most. You just avoid, you just put off. And see which one of those that somebody else can do, or you can delegate it to someone, or perhaps pay someone to help you do it. I know that I hate putting gas in my car. Now that might seem like nothing to y'all, but it is to me. And I will drive that car until it's really down to about that much gas. And I have run out of gas plenty of times. That's right, Kiera. Delegation is the key. I have run out of gas plenty of times. I hate doing it. But then I found a solution. I outsourced it to my son. So now my son gets my gas. Okay. Now, see, that might be a simple thing, but that would cause stress. And I put it off and avoid it. And you can imagine my stress meter when I, ran out of gas in the middle of the highway. Okay. So there are things that I know would be on your procrastination list that you can put down, and you can have somebody else do it. If you're in business and you want to avoid bookkeeping or what have you, hire somebody to do that. Get somebody on your team to do it. If you hate housework and keep putting it off, get somebody to come in and clean. There are things where you can get help. Okay. So now Kimberly says one of the reasons that people are solopreneurs is because they may not be able to afford to hire anyone. And that is so true. But let me tell you, but you still can think about ways that you can do. One, family members, like with my son. Okay. Secondly, places like Fiverr, Up, Upwork, and other places where you can, in fact, outsource at very reasonable rates. And then you can, some things you can, quote unquote, automate. So if there's things that you do on, that you want to avoid, but you do them on a regular basis, perhaps you can have technology help you with that. And so the point is to try to find ways, at least to think about ways that you can get help. And sometimes you can only get one thing off your task list, but that's okay. Interns is another one. Yes. One of the things that I did was I went to the universities and community colleges to get, and did an ad to get interns to help. Now, some are paid and some are not paid. And the ones that are not paid, of course, they want the experience. But then the interns who are paid, usually you can, get that at very reasonable rates. Okay. So let's think about that. And in fact, you know what, Kimberly, I want to do is maybe we'll have a segment on the way solopreneurs can get help at no or low cost. How about that? I'll do that for one of our sessions. Okay, so stay tuned and be with me every Wednesday at 9. So the next step I wanted to suggest to you in terms of if you're experiencing burnout is to evaluate your options. You never have to be stuck in something, okay? You always have options. And so you can talk to, like if you're at the workplace and you can talk to your supervisor or someone you work with or for, or your team member about, things are a little tough for me right now. Would you please help me reprioritize what I'm doing? You can think about the actual work that you're doing and evaluate whether or not you want to stay in that particular job. Or do you want to start a business? You have options. So this feeling of overwhelmed and I'm not in control and I can't do anything, this is one of the things where you can actually stop and say, I do have options. Let me sit down and think about what they are. You have to tell yourself first, I do have options. And then, you might not believe it when you first say it, but if you go through the exercise to say, I've got some options. I will, let me sit down and think about them. And Kimberly says, yeah, you like that idea about doing that show on how solopreneurs can get help at no or low cost options. Okay, we'll do that. Now, Tisha, before we get to the last step, because this is one of my favorites, I'd like you to come on. I'm going to step aside for a moment. I'd like you to come on and give us some one of your favorite ways to eliminate burnout.
Ooh, Dr. G. Okay. So
I'm going to step aside.
You got it.
Yes.
You got it. How relevant is this right now at a time when my company is going through growth spurts, when my company is having growing pains, when my company is about to go through a site visit for a very important certification? So how do I avoid burnout? Lately, it has been movement. It has been dancing. It has been getting back to things that give me that childlike wonder. For me, that is dancing, it's skating, it's getting back out and playing golf and making an extraordinary determination that I'm not just going to be an okay golfer. I want to be a great golfer. I've been golfing 17 years. I need to be, I need to, I need to be doing something on a golf course at this point. So for me, it's been movement. I'd love to hear from the audience who else is using physical activity to stimulate their minds. So, Dr. G, I've
Yes.
been moving around, getting a lot of bad energy out of my
Mm-hmm.
system through physical activity. I
Mm-hmm.
listen to a lot of nourishing mental food, mind food, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of great podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And I get out on the golf course and on the dance floor and I shake that thing.
Yes,
I get
that's a
it
good
all out
one.
and get back to
That's
work
right.
afterwards.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you, Tisha.
thanks for asking.
I think those were, some great um, examples. And again, back to that physical movement, do have fun. Dancing is physical activity. Okay, so make it fun, and you don't need to go out to do that. You can just put on the music in your house and dance like ain't nobody watching. I do that all the time. Okay, so the final fifth step I'd like to give you solution that hopefully you'll find helpful as you're dealing with burnout is to just say no. Mhm. Just say no. Oh, yeah. And so Kimberly brought a new bike and just took a ride last week, 5 miles. Ooh, Kimberly. And walking. Yes. And see, that's what keeps you moving. And here's another one, Kimberly. I'd like to know what you think about this last one I'm putting out there with just by saying, just say no. So, as I was, having my early life experiences with burnout, I found saying no to be one of the best things to do and also one of the hardest. And so I found that I had to become an expert. So Leah agrees, saying no is one of the best way. It takes skill to learn to say no and not get worn out. Yes, yes. And that's what I was going to say. It's great when you can master it, but it's hard to get there. And so, fact, Kimberly, that might be another um, uh, live that I do also, because I have become a master at saying no. And I've had to work at it and it's been tough, but to have the smile and find ways to say, oh, please enjoy that event. I won't be with you this time, but let me know the next time. And there are ways that you can say no, but the point is setting boundaries is one of the things that we as entrepreneurs and executives need to, and we need to know that. We need to learn that, saying no. And it's so key to reducing burnout. And so I want you to drop anything that drains you, stresses you, or doesn't make a good return on your investment in you. Just stop it. Now, you may not want to stop everything at once. Just don't go say, Dr. Geneva said for me to stop doing everything. I'm not saying that, but pick one thing that stresses you out and stop it. Kimberly says she's learning to say no more often. Kimberly, that's going to make such a big, all the strategies I've learned, all the experiences I've had, this one is in my top 3. Saying no to those things that drain me, just suck the life force out of me, that stress me out, just taking them off my list, not being involved in it, not doing it. And see, you can do it and then you feel the guilt, but getting rid of the guilt as well. So, it's a whole thing. So it really does. So allow yourself to be choosy and picky. Learn how to say no. Like you don't have to accept every invite to go out. You don't have to accept every client who comes your way. You don't have to accept every volunteer opportunity. You don't. You really don't. And here's another point. Yes, as Luther says, always put yourself first. That's right. And again, it's easy to say, it ain't all that easy to do. But if you practice, so my thing is, so it's like just say no. It's probably more practice saying no. And that's when I'll give you and I'm going to, Tisha, I think we need to do a live on this one, like I said, as well, to the ways to say no, and have people love you for it. Oh, that's a title right there. But, you know, it ain't got a title, Tisha. That's a title. And you have to, you know, to be able to smile and be okay and not give explanation. Okay. So how to say no with a smile. People will love you for it. Not give explanation. Ooh, that's going to be a good one. Okay. So again, this one, I just wanted to spend a little more time on this one because again, this is one of my favorites. And, you know, I'll just end this list of steps by saying that no is a complete sentence. Okay. All right. So that's that for today's. I hope you found some great, good, useful content. Please join me in Extraordinary Women Influencers. We talk about these kinds of strategies and solutions all the time. And would love for you also to join my email subscriber list. Again, the benefits to you are, you know, we talk about these solutions, strategies, ways to be successful, ways, you know, in case you're uncertain about what to do next in your life, how do you run your business, all of those things that, you know, you just want to know about so that you can have your best life. That's what we do in the email community and Extraordinary Women Influencers. Luther, thank you so much for joining, just joining us. Thank you so much. Kimberly, hey, thank you for the video live ideas, topics. We will be doing them. Leah, Kiara, and all of you who have joined, thanks so much for being here today. Yes. And oh, yes, we do have, let me tell you, for those, I'll just give it to you, those of you who well, you can be anywhere in the country. On June 6th, we'll be doing a session on never too late to be your own boss. Yes, yes, yes. AARP, the Michigan AARP, Brenda Price, and I will be facilitating that discussion with entrepreneurs. And we'll be talking about the do's and don'ts of being an entrepreneur and making sure you understand it's never too late. And, you know, it's a good subject, another one of my favorite subjects. As you know, I started my business in my late 60s. And it was always a dream that I had. And so I did it and, you know, learned a whole lot. But 5 years, you know, just in March, I passed my 5-year mark. And so I'm still going strong. You can do it too. Love you. See you next time.
Ignite to Impact.